You to know about. Major suppliers have been caught using a special product known as meat glue to stick together scraps of meat to sell as prime cuts. But while this product has been banned overseas, there's no law prohibiting its use here. Here's Rodney Lowe's with this special investigation.
Oh, don't it make it breathe
It's
again?
the meat industry's dirty secret. A way of turning the scraps too small to sell as a premium steak back into a juicy, plump eye fillet to sell for a premium price. So clever, you'll never tell. Not even an expert can.
Before, you didn't even pick that as a join, though, did you?
It doesn't even tear through the joint.
Oh, what is going
A bit
on?
hard to tell, isn't it?
Oh, come on. I'm really about to go vegetarian.
Butcher James Faulkner runs Queensland Natural Beef Company,
What?
an organisation dedicated to using as few additives in meat from paddock to plate as possible.
Nobody
But
is
tonight,
paying attention to
he's
this.
exposing how some parts of the industry are able to trick their customers and use whatever it takes.
Yeah. I've just got some fine diced beef and my special enzyme. I'm just going to mix it up a bit.
Why have we got the masks on?
This is dangerous.
Now you heard me say, why we
Dangerous
had
is dangerous shit.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
See that? Don't breathe that in.
This powder is transglutaminase enzyme, otherwise known as meat glue.
Come on.
Meat glues come in a number of forms, some produced by cultivating bacteria, the others, the primary ingredient comes from the blood plasma of pigs and cattle.
So, if you think about it, this enzyme is made from either cow's blood or pig's blood. So you have people with certain dietary restrictions, like a Muslim might not eat pork, or a Jew might not eat pork. They're eating beef that's glued together with pig's blood.
Coagulant, which causes blood to clot. In the food industry, it has amazing properties.
So just got a little bit here, about a teaspoonful. Yep. Just over the top like that. And with our gloves on, of course, we mix it up.
Then roll it in plastic film and refrigerate. 6 hours later, you have a solid piece of meat.
And essentially, you've got a
Oh my god.
reborn, rebirthed thigh fillet.
More or less, yeah.
Ours uncooked is easy to spot the difference, but cooked is another story.
Okay, so the meat glue one is on the right, and the real McCoy is on the left.
And it's not just beef. Pork, lamb, fish and chicken are all stuck back together using this glue.
Looks like one piece of chicken.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yep,
I
Hard
eat
to tell, isn't it?
fish.
particularly that.
On the grill, it's even harder to pick.
So that's the real McCoy. There's a burl.
He eating it.
Well, you've probably eaten it too.
Oh, come on.
As they said, they call it meat glue. And what they do is they use this enzyme to stick scraps of meat back together again. But the enzyme is made of pig's blood or cow's blood.
Wait a
So
minute.
if you're a Muslim
Oh
or
my God.
Jewish, or you're Jewish or Hebrew, you're eating pork and you don't even realize it because you're eating the pig's blood.
Did you see the one where they had the little machine that they stick it to the meat and they keep sticking it and it actually becomes a live organ?
Oh wow!
They actually put life into it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to show me that.
This is crazy.
Nice and tender, nicely salted. All right, let's go for the meat glue. I can't tell the difference.
Pretty good, but potentially dangerous.
I've sort of got two concerns. One that is well publicised, which is misleading people. The other area is the microbial side.
It's why the European Union moved to ban meat glue in May last year. Microbiologist Glenn Pinner.
If this food is sold or represented as a solid piece of steak and you cook it rare, you're really leaving yourself open to get food poisoning.
Once you glue two pieces together, it's difficult to cook thoroughly those parts that were on the outside but are now on the inside.
the amount of bacteria on a steak that has been put together with meat glue is hundreds of times higher.
We had no idea how guarded a secret this was until we started contacting restaurateurs and butchers to ask them about the use of meat glue. Many of them didn't want to speak for fear of upsetting their suppliers, creating bad blood in an industry that has become very clever at using this product.
Are you just shaking your head?
A little bit. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
This cube roll we bought from a wholesaler that produces stuck-together steaks en masse. Their effort's so good, James, our butcher, couldn't tell even when it was raw. It's even harder in the restaurant, which are some of the biggest users of glued meat. And chances are, unless you're a vegetarian, you're eating it on a regular basis. But with current labelling laws, neither butchers nor your local eatery have to tell you you're eating chicken glued together with cow's blood or beef held together by pig. It's the same reason they can take low-grade meat and pump it with water and flavour to make it edible.
Okay, so just after about a minute or two, we've got quite a lot of moisture out of there.
I want the work.
We've lost almost half a kilo.
Then the practice of selling mutton as lamb and old cow as prime cut beef. Like this. So old, a meat grader said it was only good for pet mince.
You've got yellow fat colour, really dark meat colour. It's definitely off a really old type of animal.
In New South Wales, new labelling regulations have just been introduced to help consumers choose quality meat, but it's not compulsory. So for most of us, picking a quality piece of meat is still a shot in the dark.
Right. So you see what they do, how devious this system is.
Right.
All right. But now I want to show you something else. I did a presentation. We put it on YouTube. It's called Tampering with God's Creation. All right. But I want you to see this because this deals with GMO foods. Right.
Oh, we was talking about that too.
Right.
For the first time, the government is considering whether to allow the sale of food from a genetically altered animal. The FDA taking...
Now, what does GMO stand for?
Genetic, yeah.
Genetically modified organism.
What they say.
Told y'all.
Caught up.
A company has tinkered with the genetic material of salmon so the fish can grow faster and reach groceries sooner. Are eaters ready? Here's Lisa Stark.
It looks like any other salmon, but opponents call it frankenfish and hope to keep it off your dinner plate. Here's the difference. Both these fish are 18 months old, but the larger genetically engineered Aqua Advantage salmon grows twice as fast as the regular salmon.
They're dying in front of our
That
face.
look like a shark.
Genetically engineered animal that would be introduced to the food supply. So it's a big deal.
Atlantic salmon grows in fits and starts, but scientists found that adding genetic material from a Pacific salmon and an eel-like fish helps them grow round the clock.
This fish is indistinguishable from the traditional foods.
How can you say it's indistinguishable, though, when it clearly has a different genetic makeup than an Atlantic salmon?
But it tastes the same, it looks the same, and the biology is exactly the same.
FDA scientists today agreed.
Aqua Advantage salmon is Atlantic salmon, and food from Aqua Advantage salmon is as safe as food from other Atlantic salmon.
Still, critics claim more studies are needed on how the fish might affect humans and the environment. For instance, what happens if these altered fish somehow make it out into the wild? Would they breed with native salmon? Would they crowd out the wild fish? The company insists there are safeguards.
They're all sterile and they're raised in physically contained facilities.
But opponents say there's no guarantee all the fish will be sterile. And there's already one case study in how the best laid plans can go awry. Canola plants used to make canola oil were genetically engineered to be resistant to weed killer. The problem, their seeds have now migrated from the company farms, carried by the wind, and perhaps by trucks taking them to market. They're now growing on the roadsides of North Dakota. Scientists worry they may create a hard-to-kill superweed. As for the genetically altered salmon, one question still on the table: will folks eat it? And will they even know what they're eating? Because the FDA has to decide if the fish will even carry a special label. Lisa Stark, ABC News, Washington.
Oh, God.
So they're not even going to let you know that you're eating these genetically modified organisms, okay? But now, let me ask you this question before we go to the next video. The question is, what is the main ingredient of rat poison?
I don't know now.
I think so. Just go on and say it, all right? Keep your answer. Anybody else? Main ingredient of rat poison. Okay, all right. So now, next video I'm gonna show you. This comes from a show back in the late 60s, early 70s. All right, and this show was called "Wait Till Your Father Gets Home." All right.
Sounds good.
You said sounds what? Well, it's an interesting show because it was one of the
Mr. Muhammad
first animated sitcoms. All right, but now check this out, and I want you to see just a particular scene in this. All right. So what? Yeah, this is Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera animation.
You don't see things like college kids won't be called hippies.
Now.
The papers. I gotta get my daughter in.
Check this out. Let me see. Make sure this sound is up. Okay, all the sound is up. All right. So now, the father of the show, he's driving in the car with his buddy. His buddy asking for a lift. All right, but listen to their conversation because remember I said a lot of times they hide things in the television shows or in movies. All right, so here we go. That's some bad animation, right?
You know, you and your family should join up with our vigilante group. I don't think that. Straighten your kids out. You have something constructive to do. Well,
let me see something. I'm gonna switch speakers.
Okay. What am I thinking about? I was thinking about something.
Stack the chairs up next to each other. Go ahead and shoot shots, bro.
This is how y'all spend your time together. Wow, y'all is so weird. Wow. Look at this. Look at this. What are you doing, Your Highness? What's going on? What's going on, you guys?
Alright, we should be good.
Maneuvers last weekend. We are trained and ready. When they make their move to overthrow the government, we'll handle them. Who? Them. Them? Don't you read the papers? The commies and the mafia have gotten together with the Jews, your Negroes, and your Puerto Ricans. The Japanese and Mexicans are on it too. Along with the liberals, the Catholics, everybody on welfare, and of course all them college kids, what we call the hippies. They're out to take over the country.
Take over the country? That is the country. Just how are they going to do it?
Through pornography and fluoridation.
Now, he said that they would, the communists, as he called them, he said that they would take over the country using fluoride and pornography.
Oh wow!
All right.
What's fluoride? I ain't gonna lie.
Fluoride is in like the water system. They just pour it in.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And it like messes with you like water.
Now, I don't know what's happening with the speaker, but
when was that made?
This was back in the 60s. Okay.
Maybe like plan everything out. Right?
Oh yeah, everything is a well-designed plan. This system runs that way. But now, let me show you this, because we're going to answer some interesting questions here. All right, because I asked you what was the main ingredient of rat poison. All right. Hopefully the speaker is working right.
Everyone do the 28th for the party? The 19th party?
Friday?
Huh?
Yeah, that is Friday, right?
Us.
Yeah, I'll be there.
What you dressing as?
If public health officials knew then what they know now, would we have fluoride? Would it be added to our drinking water? The American Dental Association calls fluoridation one of the best public health ideas ever. Absolutely, fluoride is safe. It's effective. It has reduced the decay rate in the population by about 20 to 40% over the last 60 years. But today, 600 health professionals and scientists are calling on Congress to ban the use of fluoride immediately.
If you go to any hardware store and look at any rat poison product, you will only find one ingredient: sodium fluoride. It is the most toxic ionic molecule outside of potassium dichromate.
Come on.
And it's in toothpaste too, so.
Is it in this?
It's in your toothpaste.
What's going on?
It's in toothpaste, right?
That's how people gotta change their like toothpaste that they use.
Is it in this? It's in water too, right?
Yeah, in some waters. They put it in some
I
water.
gotta get that drop.
Sink water.
I gotta get that drop.
That doesn't always help though, like.
No, but you gotta think about it. The biggest organ on your body is your skin. So when you get in the shower, you're absorbing that.
I was thinking that, yeah. That's why people need a whole system. I mean, like a whole home filtration system. Because just like doing the sink is not enough.
Right.
Yeah, the shower too.
So now look at this. If you look on the back of your toothpaste, it lets you know. Because what does it say?
It says don't consume like a beer size and like a pea or something like that, or like don't swallow.
Don't consume more than a pea-sized amount. If you do, contract the Poison Control Center.
And like you leave like the whole thing on there.
Right. Now, but think about it.
Yeah.
We do what we see, because on television, on the toothpaste commercials, what do they do?
Do the whole thing.
Like ice cream cone, they put it on there, right? So, right. So it's a trick. But wait till you find out the next thing about fluoride.
New worries tonight about the safety of America's.
Now, right now, they're going to go in and talk about the drinking water. But listen to this.
In the first nationwide investigation of its kind, the Associated Press found that at least 41 million of us are drinking water that contains traces of prescription drugs. And now many are wondering, is our water safe? Here's Nancy Portis.
The Associated Press investigation reveals that nearly every drinking water supply in the country that's been tested for pharmaceuticals tested positive. 24 major metropolitan areas from coast to coast. What turned up? Trace amounts of everything from sex hormones to drugs for livestock, anti-seizure medications, prescription painkillers, even the antidepressant ingredient in Prozac.
How many water suppliers that you spoke to actually filter out pharmaceuticals?
Virtually no water supplier we talk to will claim or can claim to entirely filter out pharmaceuticals, because the treatment systems aren't designed to filter out pharmaceuticals.
In Philadelphia, for example, scientists detected 63 different pharmaceuticals in the untreated watershed and 56 in the drinking water. Just a handful had been eliminated by filtration.
So you're consuming all kinds of different medications because they pull out pour out their medications in the toilet, and then the medications come through your system when you go to the bathroom. All right, and the system isn't able to treat that. It's not able to take all of that stuff out.
It's a lot.
Yet even require water providers to test for them.
Prescriptions have risen by 13% in the past 5 years to 3.8 billion a year, and Americans buy nearly as many non-prescription drugs. It all gets flushed through our bodies and into the water supply. At the Stroud Water Research Center in Pennsylvania, they've examined links between waterborne drugs and the feminization of male fish.
And did you hear that?
Yeah, that also goes for us too.
Right. Feminizing fish.
The aquatic organisms are being bathed in these compounds. So what does it mean when a human drinks water that is contaminated with these same mixtures for decades? It's really unknown.
If the risks are unclear, so are the solutions. Home filters aren't designed to remove all drugs, and bottled water often comes from the very same source as tap water. Nancy Cordes, CBS News, New York.
That said, I did a story about 4 years ago in which we found a river in Colorado, and now we know there are many rivers, in which the fish were turning from male to female. And the reason was because there was too much estrogen in the water. The natural female hormone was literally turning male fish into female fish, and the thinking was that this is a canary in a coal mine. So now the question is, what's the impact on humans? Specifically for pharmaceuticals in the water. And in fact, there is no way to scrub water that is in a treatment plant for pharmaceuticals. And so now we have a situation where states and cities across the country are just starting to realize that there are the remnants of pharmaceuticals in the drinking water.
Now, let me show you this. Harvard did a study on fluoride. And this is what they said about it.
Family Health with Donna Terrell.
Harvard researchers have found children who live in high fluoride areas have significantly lower IQs than those who live in low fluoride areas. Fluoride is added to drinking water, baby formula, and toothpaste to prevent tooth decay. Further, the EPA says fluoride is a chemical with substantial evidence of developmentally neurotoxicity, meaning it interferes with functions of the brain. Some doctors even say the positive effects it has on tooth decay isn't really worth what it's doing to our children's brains. But we all...
So, lowering our IQs. So, the thing is that why are we putting this stuff in the drinking water?
Because they want us to.
Exactly. So it's a way of chemically dumbing down the public. Alright? But now check this out. Because they talked about two things. They talked about fluoride, and they also talked about pornography. Alright? Now, well, check this out. Well,
how mess with people in?
It really does. It messes with your psyche. Like, it really messes with the chemicals in your head. Like every single way in shape or form. I can send you like vids on that shit. It's really not cool. So it's like
so now, no. But I want you to check this out because this is Ted Bundy. All right, any of y'all familiar with Ted Bundy?
Yeah. Ted.
All right. What did Ted Bundy do? All right, but here we go. All right, so it says, Fight the New Drug is dedicated to raising awareness on the harmful effects of pornography using science, facts, and personal accounts. Now watch this.
I feel like I know who Ted Bundy is. Like, it's not circulating.
It says, on January 24th, 1989, serial killer Ted Bundy was executed by electric chair.
Oh, wow.
After being sentenced for the rape and murder of over 30 women and girls. All right? The day before his death, in his his final interview, he talked almost exclusively about the dangers of pornography and the effects it had on
As a young boy, and I mean a boy of 12 to 13, certainly, that I encountered outside the home again, in the local grocery store or the local drugstore, the softcore pornography, what people call softcore. And it happened in stages, gradually. It doesn't necessarily, not to me at least, happen overnight. Once you become addicted to it, and I look at this as a kind of addiction. Like other kinds of addiction, I would keep looking for more potent, more explicit, more graphic kinds of material. Like an addiction, you keep craving something which is harder, something which gives you a greater sense of excitement. Again, I'm talking from personal experience, hard, real personal experience. The most damaging kinds of pornography are those that involve violence and sexual violence. Some people would say that, well, I've seen that stuff and it doesn't do anything to me. I wasn't a pervert in the sense that, people look at somebody and say, I know there's something wrong with him, and just tell. I mean, I was essentially a normal person. I had good friends. I led a normal life, except for this one small but very potent and very destructive segment of it that I kept very secret, very close to myself, and didn't let anybody know about it. I'm no social scientist, and I haven't done a survey. I mean, I don't pretend that I know what John Q. Citizen thinks about this. But I've lived in prison for a long time now. And I've met a lot of men who were motivated to commit violence just like me. And without exception, every one of them was deeply involved in pornography, without question, without exception, deeply influenced and consumed by an addiction to pornography. There's no question about it. The FBI's own study on serial homicide shows that the most common interest among serial killers is pornography. And pornography can reach out and snatch a kid out of any house today. He snatched me out of my home. It snatched me out of my home 20, 30 years ago. And as diligent as my parents were, and they were diligent in protecting their children, and as good a Christian home as we had, and we had a wonderful Christian home, there is no protection against the kinds of influences that are loose in the society that tolerates. There are kids sitting out there switching the TV dial around and come upon these movies late at night, or I don't know when they're on, but they're on, and any kid can watch them. It's scary when I think what would have happened to me if I had seen. That was scary enough. I mean, I just ran the stuff outside the home, but to know that children are watching that kind of thing today, or can pick up their phone and dial away for it, or send away for it. And let's come into the present now, because what I'm talking about happened 20, 30 years ago. That is, in my formative stages. And what scares and appalls me, Dr. Dobson, is when I see what's on cable TV. Some of the movies. I mean, some of the violence in the movies that come into homes today was stuff that they wouldn't show in X-rated adult theaters 30 years ago.
Now, he said he was really concerned, and he did this interview to kind of warn of the dangers of pornography, because this is what happened to him. This is what led him to on that road of destruction. And think about him saying what he said, and this was in 1989. This is before we had the internet.